Hi, today I'm going to show you how to draw some fun little, it's like coral and sea kelp. This is the page I'm going to work on as my main draft, but just to get your basic architecture in, I made a copy of it, so I'm going to show you how to get them started here. And I'm going to use this thick green marker, but this would be the part that you do in pencil. And then we'll go over here and we will go over it in our permanent marker. All right. So to start, and you can use something to help you draw a nice circle if you want to, but I didn't. I'm just going to go with a circle. And then we're going to make some other circles of varying sizes coming off of it. So there's one up to the right, and then we'll have a little one coming off there. And then we'll put one down here toward the bottom. This is a very loose, free kind of way to create. So you can put these wherever you want, but I want a cluster of these little round things in the middle. These are my little, maybe they're corals or living things. And I'm going to put one more right up here. So that's our cluster of circles. Then we can come in and put some little pieces that are going to be the backbone of our plants that we add. So there's one. And I'm adding these just wherever I feel like I might need one. I'm going to leave some space for other plants as well. But I'm going to add these, and it's going to help me plan out how my little plants end up being. So these are simply lines in pencil that will become something else later. Let's put a couple up here. So this is all in pencil. And then I'll come over here and make a star so that we can add a little starfish or two later. Maybe another star down here. And maybe a little fish down here. We can add fish other places. We can do whatever we want. But once we have this basic part down, and this should all be in pencil for you, we can come in and go over with a fine tip marker. So we've got the foundation of our little shape in, and we can start adding detail. So now I'm going to switch over to this one, and I'm going to start working for real. I'll leave this here if anybody needs a reference, but I'm going to start working for real. So the first thing I'm going to do is trace my big circle. I'm going to do circles first. I'm not going to do my plants just yet. So first, let's do some circles. And if you don't follow your pencil lines exactly, that's all right. They're just a guide. If you feel like you want to change something, you have that power as the artist. It's all up to you. So now I have all my little circles drawn in. I've simply gone over what we did in pencil. Now for this starfish, I'm going to be very curvy when I go around the pencil line that's there. So my starfish looks more round and friendly, like a starfish in the ocean. And then this little fish, I'm going to go up and trace around the outside of my fishy. And I can decide later if I want to put in more details on that fish. Let's start doing a few little details inside of our circles. So this one's going to get an inner circle. And then maybe some smaller inner circles as well. So it's like a big loop, a smaller loop, and then I'm going to put a little tiny loop inside. And we can make up whatever pattern we want to put in these circles. So I think for this one, I'm going to go with a scalloped pattern, like flower petals. So I'm going to just add these scallops until I feel like I have enough. It's sort of botanical, sort of oceany feeling. We can do whatever we want. If you don't want yours to look like a flower, you can decorate it in another way. But I'm going to put these little arches in here. So this one looks like a big sea flower. And then we can take the other sections of this particular sea flower and we can put different patterns there. So I'm going to do some stripes in this tiny section. And then the edge, I don't know if I want to do anything to it yet, so I'm just gonna wait and see. I do think I want more stripes though. What if we make it super duper stripey in there? And then I think in each of these, I'm gonna put a line. This is one of those drawing activities where if you did the paisley with me or anything like that, we come in and we just do the same thing to all of our little pieces that are similar. One more. I don't know about you, but I always sneeze in twos. All right, for this one, I'm gonna kind of go around, but I'm gonna jut in here and there. I'm gonna follow that contour, but I'm gonna make a little point here and there. So now we have this pattern. We'll zoom in for you so you can see better. So now we have this fun pattern, and we can put another loop in there, and we can do that fun pattern again. And then we can decide what we want to do. So in each of these, I'm going to put 3 little lines. Maybe 4 if they fit, like that one. And then I'll do the same thing here. And then later I may go back and do something to these other sections, but for now I think that's fine. All right, so this one down here, let's see. Let's do something fun with this one. Let's do a little row of circles that follow the contour here. So now we have a little row of circles, and then we can do Let's see, what do we want to do now? Maybe I'll do some dashes. We don't have any little small dash lines yet, do we? So there's that. And then we can put another row of these dash lines, and then we can put a big circle if we want to. We can go back later and add more color or decoration to this. I think I do want to add some little tentacles. Make it very oceany. This looks like a sea donut, doesn't it? And we're going to decide that this one's in front, so we're going to get to see this one's little tentacles. All right, let's go up here to the corner and we'll decide what we want to do. I'm going to put circles on the outside of this one. So it's got a row of circles. What should we do next? Let's do a little border, and it can be stripy. Little stripy border. I'm going to do another one that's a little bit wider. And then I'm going to make this my center point, and I'm going to do some lines that kind of curve out like so. And then maybe I'll put something here. I'll put some little fun shapes. All right, what should we do to this one down here? I am going to make this one a little fat sea anemone. I think that would be fun. So inside of this are the tucked up tentacles. We can see them a little bit here. And then I think it's going to have tiny dots. I might color the background in with a dark color, but it's going to have some tiny dots on it. You can add any kind of sea creatures in here that you want. If these are not your favorite, you can definitely go on your own. And I'm going to add some little lines to each of these arches. Give it some interest. And then it can have some tentacles. So let's give it some tentacles. This is where we get fun. So these are going to be wider at the top, more spindly at the bottom. And it's okay if these look like complete nonsense. It's absolutely fine. we want to make sure that if we already have drawn something, that this is going behind it. So this is really just sort of a made-up sea creature. I'm enjoying making this little shape. And then when I get up here, it's tricky because I already have something there. So I'm just going behind. So there's that one. I think this was my original direction, but we made that. And we can add some little dots here. Get all around that. And then we can start on our plants. So we'll do that next. All right, I had to take a little break to go have a meeting, so I penciled in some more things that we can add to this one. But I didn't put anything else in marker, so we can keep going. All right. Next, let's go up here and let's add a big coral. So I'm just gonna make this little scallop shape. Let me zoom in for you. Kind of like part of a cloud. And then I'm gonna make another one, and it's gonna follow the same little contour. And another one. And you can think about how much space you have. If you don't want to make yours this big, you don't have to. But I'm gonna do 4 rows. So I'll add 1 more row here. Kind of taper as I'm coming in on the side there. What I like to do with these little corals is make every other row have a different pattern. So these will have the little stripy pattern. And then also the outer row will have that. So we're giving it a little bit of personality, a little bit of repetition. We can put some other things on the side of it later, give it another border if we decide that's what we want to do. So there's that one. But let's go over and work on these little plants right here. So we had our pencil line that came down here, and then we had another one. And we may not have had this one, but I added it anyway. So I added another pencil line. So we have those 3 lines, and then I'm going to start with a round on top of each one of them. So they all have a little, kind of a little head. And then I'm going to make some very fat leaves that are sort of heart-shaped. They don't have to be perfectly heart-shaped. Just suggesting a heart shape. If you want to make them perfectly heart-shaped, you can. All right. So there's one. And then we'll do that same thing to the other 2. So I'm making these are just kind of fat little heart shapes. use a second one. And then I'll do this last one. These are getting a little less heart-shaped, aren't they? See if I can remedy that a little bit as I get down here toward the bottom. There we go. So now we've got those 3 little things, and you can always come in and add something to the leaves, like you can give them little details like this. You just want to do the same thing to each of the leaves. So we'll come back. That's a detail we can continue adding later. In this little circle here, I'm going to add a lot of little circles that are all different sizes inside of it. What I like about this little type of drawing is we know these are all things that we would find in the sea. We might not know exactly what they are, but that's okay. They're our little kelpy coral things. And I'm just enjoying the drawing of my little circles. So now that has a different aesthetic than some of the things that are around it. So we've got some little sea creatures, some coral, some anemones, some kelp. Let's turn here, and I'm going to add some more vegetation. So I'm going to make a wavy little line that ends in a point like so. And this could be an eel, it could be the tentacle of an octopus, we don't know. And then I'll make another one that's gonna cross over, and it's also kind of curly. So I'm gonna pick up when I go behind that one and meet it there. And then I have one that's coming behind these 2 things, and we can't quite see the bottom of it. But it's going to come back around, and it kind of goes behind here. Then I'll add a little one that fits behind my starfish, and then another one. So we can add as much of that sea grass as we want. And it might be good to give this seagrass some detail. So I'm going to give it some of these little wispy lines. It's going to help us know what direction our seagrass is in. Kind of making them look a little bit more like tentacles, isn't it? If we're being honest. All right, and so then these stripes would be coming from this side, and that's going to help us give this a little bit more direction. And this one, its stripes will be coming this way. There's the real edge. So then we have these other 2. And this last one. So there's that little section of grassy sea stuff. Let's come down to the bottom. And we've got this line drawn, but this is going to be a kind of a sea thing. I'm not going to draw that line. I'm going to go around that line in a kind of like a wiggly way. This is going to be just an interesting piece of, it could be coral, it could be plant life. It depends on what color you color it, I think. And then we have this other one going around, but we're going to do the same thing. I'm not going to go over the center line. I'm going to use it as a guide as I make that fun little shape. I don't remember if these were here before, but I've added a curly line here in pencil and a curly line here. And I'm going to do something similar to what I just did, but I want it to look more like very pokey coral. So you can see this center line, but I'm going to come up and I'm going to make it very pokey looking, very rough looking as I go around that little center line. So that's kind of a little piece of coral. And then I have one more curly line that comes down here, but I'm going to do that same thing where I go up and I make all these little pieces coming off of it, kind of pokey. And I wind around, kind of pokey. And then a good way that we'll know this is coral is if we go and put some little texture on it. So I'm just going to draw some little rough texture, and then I can put some dots also. And then when I go into color it, I can make it orange or some other color that isn't really a plant color, and it'll look more like a coral. So I'm going to draw my little circles on this other piece that matches that coral, and then put some dots. All right, so that's kind of pokey coral. Let's go down here. I added a couple more fishies. And then we do have this other line here that can be coral, or it can be a piece of sea kelp. So I'm going to make mine curvy. I think mine's going to be kelp, but I'm staying around that center line. And there's that piece of whatever it is. And then I have one more little curly line where I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to go up and around, and I'm following the contour of that pencil line that I've already drawn on the paper to give myself that nice swoopy shape. I penciled in another couple of fishies here. So I'm going to go on their outline. I thought let's have a few fish. You could have anything that you want. So there's some fish swimming. And now is the time when you can look and you can be thinking, what else do I want to put on here? What do I have? Where do I want to put some more pattern? I decided these little things coming off of this, we're going to have a circle in the top. And then they'll have some little hairs inside. Maybe this one wants to eat this fish, it's not sure. But each of these elements that you have here can have its own little personality. So you can be done if you're ready to start painting or coloring, whatever you're gonna do, or if it is your creative heart's desire, you can keep going with all the pattern, all the details that you want to add. And then at the end, you have a neat little decorative element. I'm gonna give this some sideways contours. Keep turning. That's starting to really look a little bit like a sea monster, but I'm okay with that. It's a very friendly sea monster. You can see the more little details we add to each of these pieces, the more personality we get. I love it. It seems like a lot of work, a lot of little detail, but if it's fun and it's something you enjoy, keep doing it. All around here, you can add some little bubbles wherever you want. I did pencil in some bubbles, but you can add some bubbles here and there to make it look more aquatic. We could add some detail to these fish for sure. But let's add just some little bubbles going up toward the surface. If there's other sea creatures you want to add, do it. Down here at the bottom, I thought, I kind of want to add a brain coral. So let's see that. I'm gonna do it. So there's my brain, and then the brain coral just have a lot of like really funky little pattern like this in them. It just winds around. So there's my brain coral. Make any kind of a little wiggly round pattern that we want. But what's fun is a lot of people have seen brain coral, so they know what it is. And we'll come back up here and add a few little more things. So there's my brain coral. Good times. Now that I've done that, I need to add a landscape, but you don't have to. You can leave yours just floating out in the open. And now I'm gonna just put some dots here and there. Give it a little dotting. I don't want my fish to be super detailed. All right. Oh, I forgot you fish. Sorry about that. Oh, I didn't give these their side contours. We don't want them to be jealous of the other little tentacles. All right. What else do we need to do? Let's see. You could put any sort of details inside all of these places that you want to. I think I'm going to add some dots here. Make that nice and speckled. And I'm going to time lapse the rest of it. You can do whatever you want.